So let's talk about an easier way to pronounce double consonants. So technically, when you pronounce a double consonant, your mouth does something known as a stop, meaning that you stop speaking for like a fraction of a second and then you resume. And by doing this, it makes the sound a little bit more tense. So that's where you get the double consonant sound. Now, how do you do that if you've never successfully done it before? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be sharing with you everything that I know about pronouncing double consonants, and I have 5 tips that I want to share. Starting with the first one, which is known as the tissue trick. Maybe you've seen me explain this before. Hold on, I actually don't have a tissue here. Let me get one. So the way to do the tissue trick is understanding that double consonants actually have less air than regular consonants. So what does that mean? Well, less air coming out of your mouth. So you can actually see that. You can test if you're saying it for yourself correctly with a tissue or toilet paper or whatever you want, and hold it directly in front of your mouth when you are making a double consonant sound. Let me first just write those here up on the board. Okay, so here are the double and the regular consonants. So let's test this. So first let's try by pronouncing the regular consonants, and you'll have to hold it close to your mouth so you can see them. Ka, ta, pa, ta, sa. So that's our baseline. So now let's do the same thing with the double consonants. Ga, ta, pa, ta, sa. I was holding it like all the way up to my mouth. I don't even know if you could see my mouth pronouncing them, but there's much less air when you say the double consonants because of that slight stop before you say it. And this test also works when you're doing the strong consonants as well. First, ka. You see it moves a little bit, although my hand is kind of moving too, but this one, ga. And then finally our strong consonant, ka. You can see that one moves the most. You can also test this though, loud. You might not know that. You don't have to say this at a normal volume. It works when you're pretty much yelling. So let's try that again. I'm gonna say this kind of yelling, like I'm saying, ka, go, ka. Now you can really see it's moving a lot. And then if I say this one loud, ga, ga. Even if I yell it, like I can see my microphone's like peaking and it still doesn't move. So this is one trick you can use just for practicing, but it's not the only trick that I have for how to master these sounds. And the next one has to do with adding a sound before you practice them. So I know a lot of learners like to practice these by saying, ka, ga, but there's an easier way to practice it, and that's simply adding an extra syllable. Specifically, the syllable ah is what I like to do, but you can do any syllable you want before the sound you're trying to practice. So instead of practicing ka and ga, you practice instead aga and aga, because it's easier to hear the difference when you add in a sound before, because you get to hear that stop that happens that makes it tense. So I recommend doing this when you're practicing them on their own. Just add an extra syllable beforehand. It'll make it easier to hear what you're saying. Now, the next trick that I have is also adding something before the sound, and that is the letter S. Now, not in Korean, because you can't do sada, that's kind of weird, but we actually do have this kind of double consonant sound in some words in English, especially words that start with the letter S and are followed by another consonant. So let me write a couple of those up, especially for these letters, the K letter, the T letter, and the P letter. This one, skate, skate, skate. Notice how it has that kind of like tensed sound when you say the K letter here. Because of this S that comes before it, it kind of gets a stop in there. So we don't say skate, we say skate, right? And that's the kind of ga sound that you're looking for. The same goes for this one, which applies to this one, stand. If you were to take the S off and you're left with stand, right? Stand. But we do it without thinking about it, but Koreans are also doing it without thinking about it too. But that's kind of the same idea, is that stop sound. And then finally, again, with the last one, speak. It's speak, right? You get that speak. It's actually almost kind of hard to say it without the S because I'm so used to it. But that would be kind of like this one. Now, there aren't really clean words that work for this. I've heard someone say like, oh, you can say like pizza, and it's kind of like pizza in English. But as far as words that are natural in English, it's just these three. Okay, but there's one more thing we can also try putting before that will help, I think, even better. Okay, imagine there's an H sound before any of these sounds when you're saying them. So there's an H. If you were to imagine that there's an H sound, say before this one, then having that sound will kind of automatically make you switch to a double sound. It'll make you add in a stop before you say that sound, which will turn it into a double consonant. Because you're having another sound, in this case, H is just there to add extra air. Because we're adding extra air before this sound, we're kind of forced to stop that sound before we can pronounce this one. So if you try to say ga, ga, it kind of forcefully stops you there. So this can be another way that you can practice them. So in this case, ta, da, da, ba, da, sa. I don't know if that'll help you, but I think it fits for how to add in a stop sound. Okay, there's one more tip though I wanted to give you, and that is the most technical tip, and that is the mouth location. So here's your tongue, here's your top and lower tooth. The double consonants come from farther back in the throat than regular consonants. And this isn't something you can necessarily practice to do, but it's an indicator when you are saying them that you're saying them correctly. For example, ka. I can feel it comes out kind of, the front part of my mouth. Ka, pa, pa, ta, ta, like that. Whereas the double consonants, ga, because they are slightly tense, they're slightly stressed, they come out a little bit back. Da. Feels like it comes kind of from more here instead of here. Ba, da, sa. So that's another indicator just that you're saying it correctly. Again, it's not really something you can practice with unless you're able to mentally control where a sound comes out in your mouth, but just pay attention to this as well. Okay, I do have one more tip though for you, specifically about this last sound here. And the tip might not be what you're expecting. Many Koreans don't pronounce these two correctly. And I used to live in Busan, and Busan is famous for its dialect. And one of the features of the Busan dialect is, among other things, pronouncing certain sounds very lazily. And this is one of the ones that gets hit, especially sa and sa. In fact, I couldn't even make these sounds for my first couple years of learning Korean because people around me weren't really doing it correctly. It's just pretty much said the same way. So that's just what I wanted to say is, for the last two sounds for the S sound, don't stress too much about it. Just don't worry about it, because even if you were to say these last two the same way, as long as it's in a sentence, I can't think of any situation where the context won't fill in which one you meant to say. It'll still make perfect sense. So yeah, these last two, don't worry too much about them. Now, I know this is a video about double consonants, but I did want to have a really quick tip for strong consonants as well. Strong consonants, there are only 4 of them. A tip for these is all you have to do is take this regular consonant and add more air to it. So going back to our little tissue trick, again, ka moves a little bit, just add more air. It's the exact same sound though. Ka, pa, pa, ta, pa, 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 ta, ta, ta. So that's all I wanted to add today before we finish this video. Thank you for watching. If you would like to see more content like this, make sure to leave a comment. If you have any requests for future videos, let me know in the comments below as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in another episode. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.